10 most painful stings in the world. Hello friends and welcome back. Today you will learn about animals with the most painful stings in the world. Some of these animals might seem gentle and cute, but don't let their appearance fool you. Because if you get stung by one of these, you will go through excruciating and agonizing pain and will probably end up in the hospital for a couple of days. So sit back and prepare for this terrifying countdown. Number 10. Black sea urchin. There are several species of sea urchin in nature and some of them are quite harmless. Some urchins are used actively in culinary Japanese culture, but the black sea urchin is perhaps the most formidable of its class. This terrifying creature dwells in the Mediterranean Sea, where it regularly scares divers and tourists. The black sea urchin has a large number of powerful needles that measure approximately 1 inch in length. If you accidentally step on one of these creatures, the pain will be unbearable and the wound will get swollen very quickly. In addition to that, the victim may develop breathing problems and his blood pressure may decrease. It can even be fatal in some cases. Specialists say that it's a very bad idea to try to get the needles out, as you would leave part of the needle in your skin, and the consequences of such neglect can be harmful. Such needles must be removed by a surgeon and the victim must treat the injuries for multiple days to avoid infection. Number 9. Platypus. At first glance, this Australian animal doesn't seem dangerous. The platypus weighs no more than 4 pounds, loves to hide in burrows on the banks of different water bodies. At night, the platypus leaves its shelter and spends up to 10 hours in the water catching crustaceans, worms, and larvae. Yet, despite its slightly ridiculous appearance, this animal can be dangerous because it's one of the few poisonous known mammals. Its toxic substance is not hidden in their teeth or the beak, as one can assume, but in their back legs. It has special spurs connected to a special gland. These creatures use this poison during mating fights. They also use it as a defense mechanism. All they have to do is touch the enemy with their leg. This substance can hardly kill a man, but the pain caused by the venom of the platypus is simply intolerable. And the wound usually has a large swelling that can last for weeks or even months. The poison can kill small animals like dingoes. Number 8. Stonefish. This fish inhabits the tropical waters of the Indian and Pacific Oceans. The stonefish is the most poisonous fish, and direct contact with the spines of its fins, which contains a powerful neurotoxin poison, can be fatal to humans. When camouflaged, it resembles a rock, which makes them unnoticed and can be accidentally stepped on. Their poison is as potent as a cobra's poison. When pricked with a spine, severe and lacerating pain occurs. The pain spreads through the limb and reaches its maximum effect within the hour. It is accompanied by headache, vomiting, intestinal spasms, arterial hypertension, sometimes with muscle paralysis, convulsions, a coma, cardiac arrest, and if unattended, it can cause death. If the patient survives, healing of the wound is slow with absorption of the wound. On the east coast of Australia, at least 1,000 people are hospitalized every year because of the sting of this fish. By the way, despite its poison, Japanese and Chinese chefs have learned to do sashimi with the meat of stonefish simply by removing the spines that contain the terrible toxins. Number 7. Tarantula hawk. This insect measures approximately 2 inches long and it is one of the most lethal predators of tarantulas in the world. The female tarantula hawk wasp stings the tarantula between the legs, paralyzes it, then drags the prey to a specially prepared burrow where a single egg is laid on the spider's abdomen and the burrow entrance is covered. When the wasp larva hatches, it creates a small hole in the spider's abdomen, then enters and feeds voraciously, avoiding vital organs for as long as possible to keep the spider alive. After several weeks, the larva pupates. Finally, the wasp becomes an adult and emerges from the spider's abdomen to continue the life cycle. Even in humans, the sting of this wasp is one of the most painful in the world. The acute pain of the insect bite lasts only 5 minutes, but for the victim, this time will be a true eternity. People who have experienced this torture in their lives claim that they could not move nor say a word. They just want to scream and wish for the suffering to end. However, the bite of this insect isn't dangerous and doesn't even require special health care, except in rare cases of allergic reactions. Number 6. Pit Viper. The pit viper is one of the most insidious snakes in the world, whose bite can cause irreparable damage. It is also known by its rattle at the end of its tail and its characteristic sound. While some species are very active during the day, most are nocturnal, preferring to avoid high temperatures during the day and hunt when their favorite prey are also active. This reptile only attacks a person if they feel threatened. The bite of this snake will cause severe agonizing pain, swelling, redness, breathing issues, arrhythmia, difficulty when speaking, and dizziness. These symptoms can last for several hours, depending on different factors and the health of the person. Between 10 or 15% of the attacks of this snake are fatal, so it's better not to postpone the visit to the emergency room. You also need to watch out for dead snakes, as their deceased body can emit poison up to an hour and a half after death. Number 5. Giant water bugs. These predators are typically encountered in freshwater ponds, marshes, and slow-flowing streams. These giants can grow up to 6 inches long. They are known for being aggressive predators that stalk, capture, and feed on fish, amphibians, as well as aquatic invertebrates such as snails and crustaceans. By the way, their barbs are actually eggs that are typically laid on the male's wings and carried until they hatch. The males invest considerable time and energy in reproduction, and females take the role of actively finding males to mate. These nasty creatures inhabit tropical regions, and their bite is incredibly painful, but it's not deadly. By the way, it's hard to believe, but in some Asian countries, they even consider the giant water bug a delicacy that can also be found for sale in markets. Number 4. Stingray. Stingrays belong to a big family with dozens of different species. Not all stingrays are electric, and not all of them live in salt water. Some species live in freshwater rivers, and whenever people have an encounter with one of these creatures, they will sure remember this event all their lives. The stinger of a stingray is known also as the spinal blade, which is located in the mid-area of the tail and can secrete venom. The sting can cause penetrating wounds, lacerations on the skin. It also releases a small amount of venom to the victim. In rare cases, a stingray's attack might result in the amputation of a limb or even death. For instance, back in 2006, the famous Australian naturalist Steve Irwin died on September 4, 2006 after being pierced in the chest by a stingray barb while filming in Australia's Great Barrier Reef. In most cases, the attack causes pain and nausea, which disappear a couple of days after the incident. Nevertheless, in case of an attack, you should go get checked by the doctor, because the sting can cause unstoppable bleeding that could last for days. Some scientists believe that the venom contains an anticoagulant agent that makes blood clotting much slower. Number 3. Crown of Thorns Starfish. The crown of thorns starfish receives its name from venomous thorn-like spines that cover its upper surface. Resembling the biblical crown of thorns, it is one of the largest starfish in the world. It can be easily found on the Australian Great Coral Reef. This star is ideal for spectacular underwater photographic sessions due to its great display of beauty. But if you decide to dive in looking for this creature, I recommend you to be very careful. This starfish is covered with many sharp needles on the base. This is where the poisonous glands are hidden. The sting of this starfish will cause the victim acute pain and possibly serious poisoning. The torture will continue at least a few hours, and skin injuries will only disappear after a month. Maybe a couple of nice photos with this star aren't worth it after all. Number 2. Red Fire Ant. Fire ants are originally from Brazil, but they have slowly invaded the US. These ants usually measure from 1 up to 5 millimeters in length. Fire ant stings are painful, characterized by a local burning sensation followed by a skin rash. The sting site typically swells into a bump within hours, which can cause further pain and irritation, especially following several stings at the same place. The bump may develop into a white pustule within 24 to 36 hours, which can become infected if scratched. but will spontaneously flatten within a few days if left alone. Number 1. Bullet ant. The bullet ant is a tropical rainforest ant named for its powerfully painful sting, which is said to be comparable to being shot with a bullet. Bullet ants live in a tropical rainforest of Central and South America in Honduras, Nicaragua, Costa Rica, Venezuela, Colombia, Ecuador, Peru, Bolivia, and Brazil. These ants will sting when provoked. When one ant stings, it releases chemicals that signal other ants in the vicinity to sting repeatedly. Bullet ant stings produce waves of agony that last 12 to 24 hours. In addition to excruciating pain, the venom produces temporary paralysis and uncontrollable shaking. Other symptoms include nausea, vomiting, fever, and cardiac arrhythmia. While the venom is not lethal to humans, it paralyzes or kills other insects. And there you have it! Another video comes to an end. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe. See you next time!